Well, hey, welcome back, everybody. Glad that you're here. I'm Paul Bagan, and along with the co-host Mike
Y-
Rasmussen. Mike, you want to kind of kick off a few things?
Absolutely. Yeah. Welcome to Where's Your Next, the talent and the recruiting and talent vlogcast, or the recruiting and careers vlogcast. We do this every Monday whenever we get the chance. And I have a co host, Coach Paul, who worked with me as, am I okay to say Dale Carnegie?
You did.
Yeah. I worked with Paul as when he was my Dale Carnegie coach back in the day. He's running his own coaching business now. Um, I asked Paul to find himself a really great guest, someone who would be really special and have a really great story to tell. And Paul has done his job. He brought us a great guest. So, Paul, do you want to introduce Golden Star to us? And I love the
I
name, by
would
the way.
be
Thank you.
delighted to do that, Mike. Thanks. To our audience out there, let me introduce to you Golden Star Navarro. Golden, how are you today?
I'm excited. I'm doing great. Another beautiful day in Stockton.
Fantastic. So you're coming from Stockton, California. How long have you been there?
I've been here about 13 years. I
Okay.
originally was living in Oakland.
All right. Well, I know you and I met about 2.5 years ago when we started talking about you wanting to do something on your own. And
Yep.
so I provided you with a little bit of coaching. The great thing about a coach is that you get to see the fruits of your labor. And as we go through this interview today, many of us in the audience are going to hear what have been the accomplishments Golden has had. But Golden, besides yourself, someone else is in the business, right?
What was that? Someone else is in the business?
Besides yourself, who else is with you in your business?
Oh, my husband. I roped him into becoming my DJ.
That's right. In fact, you're expanding special occasions, aren't you?
We are expanding every 6 months. We add something new.
Wow. So tell us a little bit about how did special occasions come up? Was it your creation? Was it your husband's and yours?
So in 2021, my nephew was graduating and he's like, Auntie, I want a photo booth. I'm like, a photo booth? Those big old bulky ones you get in the fair and you take pictures with? He goes, no, they got new ones. I'm like, okay. So I started going online and researching photo booths. And I called about 5 of them and they were all booked up. I'm like, wow, these things are really in high demand. So I finally found one. I had to go outside of Stockton and get one from the Bay Area. It wasn't badly priced. It was, it was pretty affordable. I think it was about $650. So I booked them. They came out. My family had a blast. I'm like, wow, this is something really cool. Maybe this is something I can try. I asked the guy, I'm like, hey, how much do one of these cost? He goes, they're very expensive. I'm like, what? Try to say I can't afford this? I took it as a challenge almost. So I started getting on the internet and Googling different photo booths, and they're expensive, but not out of my reach. So I chose a company. It took me about 2 months to kind of hone in on the best one that I can find. And I bought my first one. And since then, honestly, I've been in love. I now have 7 different photo booths because I love them and enjoy what I do so much.
Wow. Now, just as you're talking to us, it sounds like you're not the type of person that's just going to jump into an endeavor. You're going to do a little research.
I'm very into researching, Googling, looking at different reviews, looking at YouTube, looking at all kinds of different experiences from people because I don't want to jump into something that is going to set me up for failure. First, I want to make sure that it's something I'm passionate about and it's something that I can do for myself.
Okay.
And photo booth was it.
So, what we're hearing from you, Golden, is what's brought success for you is to have something that you're really passionate about.
Have to have passion. If you can't wake up and do something for free, then it's not for you. I wake up every day, even though I get paid really well, I would do this for free because I love it so much. Every day I get to be like, wow, I get to party with amazing people. And not only that, I get to bring these unlasting memories to people and their events. And it's something that makes me feel so good inside.
Well, when on the idea of entrepreneurship, that's an area, of course, that I coach people in, and as you know, um, But entrepreneurship, what would you say you can expect if you no, I want to rephrase that. Was being an entrepreneur what you expected, or was it 110 degrees different?
First of all, I want to go backwards a little bit. If I didn't, Coach Paul was my coach. If it wasn't for Coach Paul, I probably wouldn't be as successful as fast as I am. For any new business owner, I would say you need a coach. Now, as an entrepreneur, it's amazing, but it's not easy. You have to be very determined. And when you fall, you have to keep on getting back up. If you fall and you're like, this is it, then entrepreneurship is not for you.
I got you.
Can I add something to that real quick? So, all right. So I really love this, Golden Star. You've really just hit on something that I think is also true of careers as well. Mm-hmm. So if you have a W-2 job, okay, in a sense, you're also the CEO of your own life. Mm-hmm. It's a sense that anything you're doing requires entrepreneurship. I mean, a couple years ago, I took a couple risks that I was working at ADP. I was very happy. I had stability. I had a lot of things going for myself. One day, I sat back and I go, I need to get some international recruiting experience. I need to have some opportunities to continue to move my skill set and broaden my horizons. And I'd been doing ADP for so long that I was very comfortable, and I was in a place where, I had further growth coming. I found out later I would have gotten promoted had I stayed, another level up. But I get a call from the LDS church one day, and they go, "Hey, do you want to come help us out with talent acquisition?" It was a friend of mine that worked there, and he opened the door, and I went and worked there. Well, it was a different set of challenges than what I was used to. It was something that I never thought I'd be doing, but I was working for a big, religious organization with all their humanitarian work. And nobody realizes that to support a worldwide faith of 17 million people, there's a nonprofit business part of the organization that works, right? So they provide for all the meeting houses for people. They provide for all the different things. Now, I didn't realize the scope and scale of the operation because it's been my faith, So I went there and worked in their organization, and I got international recruiting experience. I learned in an operation that's operating very much like very, limited resources, stretching dollars because they're nonprofit, and they're trying to do the best they can to take care of the members' tithes, and sacred funds that they have. So that was a very interesting proposition for me. I'd never realized how big of an operation it was, but I learned, so I took a risk. I took the jump. I was there for a year and a half. I got the experience I was hoping for. And then another opportunity came within the last year because, you look at, it was gangbusters back in 2022. Things were going, really strong. And then all of a sudden I jumped over to the source and recruit company, which was a great experience for me. I learned business development skills. I learned account management. Coach Paul was helping me through that. So Coach Paul was my mentor and my coach during that time. Now he's my co-host, which is kind of cool, right? So it's just a neat story. I go back with Paul, like back to 2008. I remember sitting down with you, Paul, and talking about what you were going to do with your business at the time. I remember the entrepreneurial focus that you had, and I always came back to that. So Golden, I think it's important to say the risks we take to bring this home to the point I'm making. It's the risk sometimes that is scary. And let me say, back earlier in November, when I got the call from my old boss and he said, "Hey, my revenue's tightened. I can't keep you." And he'd lost 4 people in his business, and it was a small recruiting consultancy. And he goes, "I can't keep you on. It's just too crazy." It was just amazing, and it's been fun to see the journey. Golden, let's talk about, what risks have you taken? What challenges have you seen as an entrepreneur? And like I said, even W-2 employees who are working in a corporate environment. are entrepreneurs. Let's not forget that you have to take risks in your career to move forward, to grow. And that's okay. It's a good thing. So what do you have to, what's been your journey? Tell us more about this journey you've been on the past year.
So this past year, or from when I started in 2021?
Well, from when you started, absolutely. Let's go back then.
So let's start with some of my, I guess, disabilities. So I suffer from anxiety, depression, OCD, and DID. So DID is dissociated identity disorder. So I'm working with a lot of disabilities. I have a lot of people when I was growing up say, you're never going to make it. You're never going to become anyone. Because I'm the kind of person that I couldn't keep a job. My mental health was always getting in the way. So I was always getting fired or quitting. And so it was scary when I started to think, hey, maybe I can start my own business with the help of Paul. You know, he kind of pushed me, say, hey, you can do this. And so I took a risk and I tried it. And you know what? I've been excelling. I have amazing people in my corner that every time I feel doubtful, they're calling me, Golden, you can do this. Golden, you can do this. We got you. I have a very good support team. I think that's very important for any entrepreneur, is your support team, your pipeline. And in those 3 years, I went from this little Mexican girl with disabilities to now I own the #1 photo booth business in Stockton, California. And we're growing every 6 months. We're adding DJ services, enclosures, custom shirts, balloon archery. We're decorating. I mean, we're doing big things. We're decorating for all of Delta College. I mean, when we do like Fiercely Fest, 7-day setup. We're working with a lot with UOP. I think 90% of our business is corporate business.
What's your revenue?
So we made $120,000 last year.
Very good.
Do you have employees yet?
So right now it's my husband, my son, my niece and my nephew, and we have 1 employee that's through the state. Yeah. So we work with the YAP program, which is the young adult program, working with kids that have disability to give them a chance to learn in a professional field at their own pace. And so I feel blessed to be working with him. My assistant Zebedeo, he's amazing. Mm-hmm. But we're trying to add more on. We're not there yet. We're still working on getting some more employees.
Well, okay. Wow. I'm just sitting back and smiling and just hearing your story. And okay, let's talk about mental health for a minute. Mm-hmm. Let's go back in time. So 2019, everybody that I knew, for the most part, was in a good place. Okay. And let's talk about the humanity of where we're at right now. Since COVID, there are a lot of people who lost loved ones.
Yep.
And then we had this situation where I actually wrote an article on this. I have generalized anxiety. I'm not afraid to say it. No. But I've been able to manage mine with faith and with a great support system. And even though I've been, kind of in between roles since November, the end of November, I've had amazing experiences along my journey that have brought me to where I am. And recruiters, it comes to find out that a good portion of the most influential recruiters and staffing professionals in my network actually are neurodiverse. So neurodiversity is, let's talk about that and say for what it is. Mm-hmm. It is not a weakness.
No way.
It is not a weakness at all. And the reason I say that is, now again, there's a lot of people with anxiety. It's okay to admit that, but it's how you overcome it. Like right now you could see me and you'd be going, how in the world does this man have anxiety? He's talking in front of audiences and creating content. Quite frankly, it's been there. I've fought through it. I've learned how to manage it. And God, I love my wife because she's amazing. And she's an entrepreneur in her own right. She started her own preschool and she's bringing in income, which is helping us make ends meet while I'm in transition. I'm doing gig economy work. I'm using DoorDash. I'm doing Uber Eats. I've taken a small part-time job at Domino's. I've done everything in my power to stay ahead of the curve. Yeah. Last Thursday, to bring it home and bring it personal, I went to my mom passed away in 2022,
Oh.
and I went and sat by her grave the other day, and I felt like I was feeling her with me there that day, and I said to her, I'm going to be employed by the end of April, mid-May. I'm not going to give up. I know what my value proposition is. I have a great company that's looking at me.
Yeah.
Hopefully going to hear from some positive news from them today. And even if I don't, the number one thing that we need to learn right now, and there's a lot of people that are in transition. Big tech companies have laid off. You've had a lot of different things, but mental health and your ability to have confidence. Since 2020, there has been an epidemic in mental health. But to your credit, Golden Star, I just have to say, just to see you succeed is so amazing that it blows me away as a human being, because there it is. There it is.
I'm very grateful. Yeah.
Keep talking about that positive energy. What else about your story is amazing that you can share?
Just touching a little bit more on mental health. Growing up as Mexican, my dad's like always, you don't have mental health. You're just a weak person. We kind of shy back on that. So people coming out and embracing, this is what I have and I can succeed. It's not a weakness. Like I said, my anxiety is not a weakness.
Not at all.
It makes me punctual. My OCD doesn't make me weak. It makes me make sure that your event is going to be 100% perfect. And my DID with marginal personalities, I don't got one employee. I got multiple employees, but they're all in my head.
Well, and with my generalized anxiety, what that does for me is, just to talk about that for a minute. One thing I think is incredible is the fact that it's like my anxiety actually pushes me to excel.
Yes,
it makes me want to be. It makes me a perfectionist. It makes me focus on what's in front of me. It makes me go, okay, what do I still need to do to stay ahead of the curve? What do I need to do to stay proactive? What do I need to do to stay relevant? And in this time, right now in 2024, here's the point to drive home that Golden Star is a shining example of. Golden Star, shining star, right? So, but this is it. It's the ability to rebound, to keep going, to lift yourself up and go the next step, to be human, and not be afraid to show what that means to the world.
We have human experiences every day, and we're going to fall and we're going to stumble, and it's going to be hard, but we're going to get ourselves up. Like you said, you have a perfect caring wife at home. I have my husband, DJ June. He's always there for me. Whenever I'm at that 1%, he's at my 99%. If I'm at 50%, he's the other 50%. They'll always be there by my side. So support system is very important, especially when you're dealing with any kind of mental health.
Absolutely. And let's continue to talk about your business. What did it take to start? What did you learn? What were some of the challenges you faced along the way as an entrepreneur?
So when I first started my business, it was buy a house, start a business. I tried to buy a house. I had $25,000 saved to buy a house. I kept getting outbid. So I said, this ain't working. What can I do? So that was one of the reasons too, where I decided on the photo booth business. And the journey is amazing. It's allowed me to meet some amazing people. I learned networking. Networking is so important. Your network is your net worth. Creating that pipeline. Yep. I joined the Stockton Chambers, the Asian Chambers, Hispanic Chambers, the Junior League, Evolve, Empower. The more people, because I'm just one person, I can only tell so many people about my business. But the more I expand, the more people know, like people like Coach Paul, who's always talking about my business. Now I have 10, 20, 30 people on my team supporting me in the community.
Yep.
Making me thrive.
Yes. And let's talk about that for a minute. Like, if you go to my LinkedIn profile, you'll see that I have over 15,000 connections on LinkedIn now. Now, this is a crazy number, and I'll be honest, that grew. I've been on LinkedIn since 2004, but I can go back to all those experiences when I started as an intern. I was just getting started. We went into the Great Recession in 2007, 2008, And I remember back then the pain, the challenges, the circumstances that were real. There were so many people out of work. It's almost like going back in time, and recruiters, we know right now, HR pros, they look back in just these last few years. It's been like a whipsaw event. Like COVID came, everybody was laid off. Recruiters were like, what are we going to do with ourselves? Then it flung to the other side of the coin, where there were multiple things going on. Just talking about my world again. It's like so many skeleton crews of recruiters. All these tech companies laid off all their staffing professionals. What's the impact of that? Candidate experience. People were having challenges. People were having challenges getting back. They're just overwhelmed. There's so much there. And again, it flipped to the same thing. Tech companies, they overhired, and that led to this situation that we're now in, which is unemployed recruiters. Candidate experience looks crazy. And I just look at all that whipsaw events. It reminds me that what you're talking about is so importantly true. Like right now, I posted on my LinkedIn a few days ago to kind of, get some more drum up of my open to work scenario. Let's just say it for what it's worth. Open to work banner. I saw terrible advice the other day from someone that said the open to work banner on LinkedIn makes you seem kind of desperate. That is a lie. The open to work banner is actually there to help people find people for roles because they're more apt to respond. And so Steve Levy, who we had on this show a few weeks ago, challenged the assumption that the open to work banner was a bad thing. And so we're fighting these battles in our own sphere of influence as human beings to make it better for other human beings that want to work and want careers, whether they're joining a company or not. But you have to be the entrepreneur of your own career. Period. Doesn't matter.
There's so much talent out there. Like I said, when COVID took away jobs, like, hey, here I am, a 9-to-5. Now I have nothing. That's when the talent of people really came out. What can I do to keep my family going? And you understand, there are so many amazing talent in Stockton. I've been to so many pop-up and trade shows. I'm like, wow, I didn't know that even existed. How do these people even come up with it? They're amazing. We don't know what we can do until that challenge is in front of us.
Yep. Amen. Amen.
Very true.
Yeah. And Golden, what's really cool too is just, I love that you are so enthusiastic, and it's just, I feel that energy coming through, and it's, it's inspiring to say the least. As an entrepreneur, here you are, you're starting to thrive. You've gone through the battles of life, and it's a genuine human reality, but yet you're doing something you love. You're doing something that came about from an idea, and you executed it on the details. You've done that. What other lessons have you learned along the way?
I've met amazing people. So not just my business, I've actually started something called the Alchemist Group, which is AKA TAG, where we're putting on seminars. So Stockton gets a really bad rap about, we live in Stockton. Stockton's not a good place to live. But everybody in our group are like, no, Stockton's amazing. Let me tell you how I've lived my life, and now I'm a thriving business owner. So having this business is another stepping stone to get the word out, to up my community to be better, and to see things differently in a more positive light, that if I can do it, you can do it. So that's one thing I love about having a business, having that platform to help other people thrive and become great, amazing Stocktonians or business owners.
Yeah. Let's bring Paul into this dialogue, because I think that, Paul, you've been on a journey of your own as an entrepreneur. Tell us about that, what that's looked like as a coach.
My journey started when I came out of college, and it was during a time when a lot of people were getting sign-on bonuses, not considered big now, but then yes, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 sign-on bonuses. And I wasn't really attracted to that. I kind of wanted to do like what Golden was saying, find something that I could be passionate about. And I felt that the best area for me to be in would be working with individuals. and in a selfish way, to be able to take from their experiences and grow from them, for myself, and be able to share my experiences and allow them to grow as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so I decided I was going to go into sales at that time. Well, everybody told me I was absolutely insane to want to do that. You're not going to make any money. People are going to yell at you, etc. Well, as we move fast forward, I did very well in sales. Again, I'm not saying this to, give the wrong impression. I want to say, though, that people were wrong. I ended up living the country club style. I had a lot of things, not that I'm going to tell you made me overly happy. There were other things that made me more happy, but I did. And yet one thing that I learned is don't look back at the naysayers and say to the naysayers, haha, see, I showed you. No, I just kept going on and working on helping other individuals. So I started my own business. I bought the business for about $500,000. Not a small change. Wow. Talk about risk. Everything seemed to go well for the first 2 years, and everything then completely fell apart to the point where I was over $2 million in debt because of the business. I had to sell my country house. I had to really gear things down, and I lost a number of things. I lost my marriage, and lost my kids. I ended up living homeless.
Did you really?
Yeah, I lived in my car.
I didn't know that, Paul.
When was this?
I did. This was back in 2008 and 9 when I sold the business. Oh my gosh. Yep, I sold the business, and then after selling the business, I stayed on as a consultant, so that was good for a while. But then it was time for me to move on. I made a risky decision. People were saying, "You're doing well, making more money now than you were when you owned the business. Stay with it." I said no, moved on, and it led to a lot of problems, of course, that I've just mentioned. However, it led to some extremely cool opportunities for me, and the opportunities were for me to see what I was really made of. Was I going to just go around and have a daily pity party for myself? Right. I certainly earned it.
There, it is.
I mean, I woke up in my car, freezing cold and shaking. I had what I slept in was my suit coat because I'd been interviewing or attempting to. And I went into Starbucks. I had not eaten that day at all, nothing, because I had no money and I had plenty of pride. So I didn't yet ask people for anything, but this time I had to. But I didn't ask. I said to the lady at Starbucks, "Could I have a cup of coffee? What size? Venti, please. I have no money." Then I do an Oscar performance. I say, "Oh my gosh, I left my wallet." She knew what was happening. And she said to me, "Hey, not a worry. When you come back the next time, buy another cup of coffee." And so I came to realize at that point in time that if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you've got to be willing to accept change. You've got to be willing to accept the good with the bad. You always have to be 1 or 2 steps ahead of yourself because sometimes unexpected things come up like they did for me. And I was not 1 or 2 steps ahead, not by my fault, but by that. But you can still be 1 or 2 steps ahead of yourself when you start to look at what you were saying, Golden. What do I love to do? And I said, the times that I'm my happiest is when I am facilitating other people and allowing them to grow. So moved to Stockton. My wife and I, we had nothing when we moved to Stockton, and I'm not kidding you when I say nothing. We were just calculating out the gas, how much money it would take to get from San Jose to Stockton, all that stuff. But we got here. Yeah. Now, the benefit has been, and I don't want this to be a story about Paul. This is a story about people and perseverance. Because what happened is that today, now in 2014, I have a very strong marriage. a woman who really supports me 100%. I'm completely out of debt. I re-own a home again. I bought a home. Yeah, being an entrepreneur, you have to be a little creative when it comes to buying homes. But I
You
found a
do.
way. Others were telling me you can't have a home. You'll never have a home. No, I did. So I'd say that in our message on entrepreneurship, and we heard it from you, Golden, is becoming number one in San Joaquin County did not happen overnight. No, being
I put in hours.
dealing with your mental health, that didn't come overnight. What does come to all individuals, but more so I find being an entrepreneur, are experiences. The experience of meeting lots of different people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I hear you saying. I would say the number one reason for your growth, Golden, is because your passion shows. And when people feel that passion, they go, that's what I want. I want that hat. I want to buy that hat. I want to have her at my wedding. I want to have her at my corporate party. Little plug. I've had Golden and her business do 2 events for me, both of which were highly rated and very fun too.
Well, if you're one of the 15,000 followers on LinkedIn that may be watching this today, and my 117 subscribers on Where's Your Next, this is what I call the Where's Your Next spirit. Because Where's Your Next is all about keeping an eye on the next thing and staying ahead of the curve and going forward in your life. That's exactly what this channel is about. So
it really is. And Where's Your Next? I'm going to tie in a quick little story. It won't take long, but it makes a point of Where's Your Next. In this town, there was a mule, and the mule accidentally fell into a well. So a lot of the townspeople came and looked into the well, and they all agreed that this was a kind of a worn down old mule. And, well, hate to say it, but they felt wasn't worth saving. So they got together as a group, as a town, with their shovels, and they started to bury the donkey. That mule was one shovel of dirt at a time went onto his back. What they didn't know, though, is he kept shaking the dirt off. After several hours of attempting to bury the mule came out of the well to the amazement of everyone and walked away. The point here is Where's Your Next depends on how well you can shake it off.
Right. Yeah.
How well can you take the adversities, but also how well can you accept the graces and the blessings? How well can you accept those?
Yeah. Can I share one thing too about this? That's going to tie real well. Okay, you see this sweatshirt right here?
Yep.
These are some of my heroes. This is Switchfoot, the band. Okay, so interestingly enough, I've told this story in several places, but I don't know if I've really honed in it here. It was back in November 4th, a few days before my birthday. I was still employed at the Source and Recruit company. And it's just so interesting because every time I go to like a big Switchfoot event or I hear their song or there's something like in the universe that's like, okay, Mike, something big's going to happen for you. Well, back then I went to a VIP event of theirs. And Switchfoot, if you don't know who they are, they wrote many songs, one of which is called Dare You to Move. Okay. So I was sitting there and I was at this VIP event and I asked the lead singer, whose name is John Foreman. I said, John, tell me about Dare You to Move. What was that about? And he goes, he thinks about it for a minute and he goes, the reason that song was written was back in the day when we were a struggling band and we had 2 choices. We could give up our music to go pursue college and revenue in our lives, doing things. But music was our passion. That's where we belonged. They were, struggling band at the time. Well, they got their big break from a movie called A Walk to Remember, and they were the main featured artist on the soundtrack. There's another story behind that, but Dare You to Move was about the struggle of trying to survive as a band and the choice they had to make between leaving college to pursue their music or going to college and doing what the world said they should do. They chose to go pursue their music, and they've had an influence on millions as a result of that. But he said to me, he goes, that's what that song's about. And he looks me straight in the eye and he goes, no matter what you're facing, I dare you to move.
Mm-hmm.
I dare you to be the owner of your life. I dare you to do what's necessary. So now I have my VIP pass, which hangs in my car as a reminder of why I do what I do. And as I'm out working the gig economy to make ends meet and do my part for my family, because the gig economy is amazing. I am my own boss. I'm my own entrepreneur. I can go out and make money that way. Even though I want to work for a company, there is some freedom in being an entrepreneur. And I think Dare You to Move is exactly what Golden Star has done. The where's your next spirit that Paul was talking about. Because we need to have that courage when we're knocked down. And life is going to come at you and be tough.
Yes, it is.
Have either of you seen the movie Cinderella Man?
No, I have not.
No.
There's a quote from it, and the gentleman who it's about is a truly remarkable human being. I'm just going to pull this up because I quoted it on my LinkedIn the other day, but I'm just going to share this real quick. He said something about, if you're going through a hard time, if you're going through something, you need to, I believe life can be hard, but it can also be amazing. Yes. So he said this, and I'm just going to share this quote. I have to believe that when things are bad, you can change them. And this is a quote from Jim Braddock. Okay, and Jim Braddock was known as the Bulldog of New Jersey. And he was in the Great Depression, a famous boxer. And so life was hitting him hard, but he was hitting back. He was fighting back. And sometimes in our lives, all three of us have been at a point where we were like, what are we going to do? How are we going to get through this?
Right.
But he hit back in life. And he went on to people thought he was done as a boxer, but he's like, no, this is the way that I can provide for my family. So he injured his hand, but yet he went to the docks in the Great Depression, and he kept working and he kept going. This is what it takes. Sometimes you have to be scrappy. Sometimes you have to have courage and pick yourself up off the floor and rise back up.
Yeah,
you have to move.
It's hard being an entrepreneur sometimes because you're not working a 9 to 5 where you're punching in, someone's telling you what to do. You have to wake up every day.
You have to tell yourself what to do.
What am I doing today? Well, how do I know? Because this is a new business for me. Sometimes I'm like, dang, I don't think I want to do this no more. I think I'm a failure. My husband's like, no, you got this. And then he gives me that reassurance and I take off, write what I have to do down every day and get it done.
Do you think it's okay to have a little self-doubt once in a while, Golden?
Yeah, I think it's human nature. We're going to have it. But we have to remember we're strong. We're going to have that self-doubt. That's where that support system comes in. It's really important.
Amen, Golden.
You need it.
So true.
Good
Yeah.
point.
What other things make you passionate about your business right now? And where do you see it going? What's your vision?
My vision is what I'm working on right now is owning a venue. I want my own venue. I already have my DJ. I already know how to decorate. We already have the photo booth, but having a place where people can come and you take advantage of all that, not only would that elevate my income, but I think it's just a great place just to have that one-stop shop. So that's where my dream is I'm hoping in the next 3, maybe 5 years to have our venue to really elevate ourselves.
Now, remember, you don't say I'm hoping, say.
No, I will. It will happen. I'm taking that. I'm on that road to get there to where I need to be.
That's right.
Golden, there was something you said earlier that struck me. you said the world's going to say that you can't,
Yeah.
and it's going to criticize you, right?
And it has a lot.
And people do. It's human nature. But you know what? There's something inspiring about when you go out and you say to the world that I'm going to prove you wrong. And then you do, because you are.
They
And
did all the time.
you have 120K business that you're bringing in every year, and you're providing for your family through your own ideas, through your own work, through your own innovation. So it reminds me of my friend, Dr. Joseph Arrington, that we had on. Were you on that show, Paul?
No.
Okay. So that was before, I think before you became my co-host, but he was talking about the same idea. That was with Robert Merrill and me. And Robert Merrill is a recruiter that has run his own agency side recruiting. And this guy, Dr. Joseph Arrington, came up with a sleep solution. And he's putting together his business, and he's succeeding. Now, it wouldn't surprise me, Golden Star, if you are one of those folks that are on one of those lists, the folks that are this many folks on a certain age, or that are being recognized by business, or, it's just cool. Any parting words of wisdom? We're getting to time here, but
don't let people hold you back. When I was younger, we were those baby kids. Oh, those kids, they're never going to make it. They're going to be in jail, drug addicts, dead. But all of my 7 siblings were business owners and managers. So never let anybody tell you you can't, because you can. And we need to prove them wrong.
Well, we'd love to have some of your friends out in Stockton in that business group come on this show sometime and talk about some of their experiences too. So invite them.
Some amazing ones. Agatha Reed, Ernalita de Cumos, Ivan Montalago, all part of my Alchemist group. They're amazing. They come from homelessness from other countries to being the firstborns. Like, they're amazing. They have wonderful stories to share.
Well, let them know they've got an open invitation, and we'll talk more about it.
Yeah, and we still have a few minutes, but I wanted to share a quote from Steve Jobs. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know when you find it. And like any great relationship, it just gets better and better as the years roll on. So keep looking until you find it. Don't settle. And he was talking about your life and your career and how you succeed. And Steve Jobs, if you know his story, wow, remarkable. He hit some very tough times, but look at what he did. He created one of the most influential FANG companies that's still at the top of its game all these years later. He was the inventor of the iPhone. He was the one that, I think that's right, but he was the one that did all those ideas. And still, there's influence there. People are still loving that brand. And that's what it takes. It takes that hustle mentality. It takes the ability to give up when you feel like the world is against you. That's exactly what it takes. I agree. I think on that note, are there any parting shots you want to share, Golden? Any parting wisdom?
If you have a dream and you have a passion, but you're scared, and it's okay to be scared, push that fear down and go out and try, because all you can do is fail. What do you have to lose, right? At least try, because I'm telling you, there's so much more enjoyment being your own boss than having to work for someone that rings that bell and you have to jump to them. I ring my own bell, and I'm enjoying life a lot better.
And I'll say on the same token, if you are in corporate America and you're a corporate worker, there is something about entrepreneurship that you need to be adopting as a philosophy of your own life, because we are in a time where, it used to be where you would go work for a company for maybe 10, 15 years. We've seen the rise of the gig economy. We've seen the rise of the freelance reality. And this is why, get used to being uncomfortable, because we are in those times where the reality has shifted. You almost have to always be thinking, where's your next mentality? Because
next.
And yes, stay at a company if you can. I mean, stick there as long as you possibly can if it's good for you, right? But at the same time, if you have an idea and you have something that you think can work, don't be afraid to take a risk, because it can change your life. And Golden is an example of that. Wow. Cool.
And along those lines, real quick, opportunities, remember, they're never lost. Opportunities, they just go to someone else.
Yep.
Opportunities are never lost. They just go to somebody else. So if we're not willing to take that risk, somebody else will.
Amen. And from that, we're very grateful for our sponsor, Hire. Oh my goodness, my brain just went blank. This is bad. Hire. Oh, I'll put it in the comments. It's just a crazy day. Hire Scale. That's it. My brain just went blank. But Hire Scale is a place where recruiters can go to be their own freelance organization and work as a freelancer. Take advantage of that entrepreneurial spirit, and that entire segment there. We have to say thank you, Golden, for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks to Paul as well, my co-host, and thanks for coming on Where's Your Next today. We appreciate you, and this was an inspirational episode. Golden Star, keep rocking it, keep making that happen.
Yeah.
Until next time on Where's Your Next, we'll see you soon.
Bye, buddy.
Bye everyone.